It's Tuesday, May 16th, 2022. Before we start the video today, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video everywhere. Let's get right in and kind of just recap what took place today. Markets closed down across the board today. Dow Jones closed down nearly 340 points. And they're blaming that on the discouraging news coming from Home Depot. And also, of course, the debt ceiling concerns. So we have some big problems right now in the economy, the debt ceiling, the strong consumer, which seems is not as strong as we're being told. But it says right here, Home Depot pulled back 2.1%. The retailer reported disappointing quarterly revenue and cut its full year guidance. Not a good sign. And to me, this is just another canary in the coal mine. And it's just reinforcing with you and I that the consumer is backing off, that the consumer is cutting back. And they're not doing those large home improvements like they were a year or 2 or 3 years ago. And I want you to think about this. Think about the $7 trillion that they pumped into this economy over a 30-month period. And look how everything is fizzling out right now. And I'm sure somebody's going to write me and tell me how great it is in their area. Somebody wrote yesterday, they're building houses in my area. People are going out to dinner. People are shopping. There are exceptions, no doubt about it. I can go out 5 minutes from here, go down to El Paseo, which is the Rodeo Drive of the desert, and people are going to be out there eating. People are going to be out there shopping. But what's happening in other areas of Riverside County, San Bernardino, San Diego, LA? We are seeing home sales absolutely plunging. When we look at what's happening to the rest of the country, when we look at the massive deficits, whether it's the federal debt or state municipalities, we're looking at 250,000 people literally a week filing jobless claims. It is layoff after layoff after layoff. And the federal debt, national debt now surpassing $31 trillion. And just because some people are out eating or shopping, that means the rest of the country is doing well. All you have to do is look at the data. We have the highest debt we've ever seen now for our national debt, household debt at an all-time high, credit card debt at an all-time high, credit card interest rates all-time high. We're looking at inflation that is still at really arguably an all-time high, unemployment much higher than they're telling us, inflation much higher than they're telling us, and yet people out there will say everything is okay. It may be okay in your area. You may live in Mayberry and everything's okay there, but I can promise you this, looking at the data, things are not okay overall for the United States of America. And let's not forget what's happening to the dollar and how long does the dollar have, and what is happening to manufacturing in America, what is happening to the average American's savings, their purchasing power. Everything is breaking apart, ladies and gentlemen. If you have really good news, please comment down below and share with us the good news regarding this economy, because I don't see a whole lot of it. Here's another one from The Hedge today. Home Depot plunges after worst revenue miss in 20 years. The worst revenue miss in 20 years. Slashes guidance, blames weather, lumber, and faltering consumer. The consumer, according to this article, is delaying projects, buying fewer big ticket items like patio sets and grills. The latest sign, it says, consumers are maxed out, they've maxed out their credit cards after splurging on Weber grills, hot tubs, and patio sets during the health crisis years. Interestingly enough, Jim Cramer a week ago said you should buy Home Depot. You should buy Home Depot shares last week. And here we are, fast forward a week, and it is the biggest miss in 20 years. So leave it to Jim Cramer to pick another winner for us. Here's another one from CNBC. Retail sales rose 0.4% in April, less than expected as consumers struggle with inflation. The Dow Jones estimate was 0.8%. We got 0.4%. Retail sales did increase, but these numbers are not adjusted for inflation. So you're paying more. People are spending more and they're getting less. And so we can make it look positive and say, well, retail sales rose, but why did they rise? Because people are forced to spend more and they're buying less and they're paying more for less. Here's one from The Hedge. U.S. now spends more servicing its debt than on national defense. We spend $813 billion just to service the debt. And that is going to go even higher. Now, if they pass this debt ceiling, which I believe they're going to raise the debt ceiling, we know that it's going to cause more debt, more inflation, and it's going to cost more to service the debt. I would be very, very shocked if anybody had the guts to not support this debt ceiling rise and actually allow the default to take place, because sooner or later we're going to default. It's better to just do it now than it is a year or 2 years from now. But everybody wants to keep kicking the can. Nobody wants to be the bad guy. If back in 2008, if we would have just controlled the spending, hunkered down, and had a couple bad years, we would be in a much better place today. But nobody wanted to feel the pain. So we just delayed the pain. So what do? We just print money. We stopped the housing crash by printing money. Remember, things were still falling before the Fed came in with all the QE, putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. We don't know how much farther housing would have went down. We don't know how much worse 2008 would have been. They should have just let it all fail. But no, we were bailing out banks. We were bailing out foreign banks, automakers, printing money, just absolute destruction to the US dollar and the future of this country. And now things are 100 times worse today than they were in 2008. And they're going to want to keep putting it off. Sooner or later, this thing is going to collapse, and it's going to be so much worse than it should have been, because we keep patching up these bubbles and inflating more air into them, causing more and more danger. And when they burst, they're going to be so big, so devastating. The fallout is going to be something we've never seen before. We can't even really understand how bad and how big it's going to be. And yet there's people out there saying, this is doom and gloom, this is negative, just ignore it, go on with your life, anybody can get a job. Yeah, I think you can get a job today, more than likely in the service sector, more than likely part-time, more than likely a job that's not going to have much opportunity to climb the ladder. Yeah, you can get a job. You can work at Walgreens, you can work at McDonald's, you can work at Del Taco, you can work at a hotel, you can work at a Starbucks. But the real jobs are gone for the most part. And now we're going to see more white-collar jobs, as we're watching daily. White-collar jobs, well-paying jobs being decimated, middle class being decimated. Anybody out there that disagrees with me and sees things heading in a good direction, that this country is in a better place than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, please comment down below and please explain this to me. I know a lot of people will write me and tell me how wrong I am and how this is just all fear, with no picture, of course, and a fake name, or a picture of a cartoon character or the Easter Bunny. But if you're real, at least have a picture and a real name, for goodness sakes. But, you know, present us a case where the economy is doing so much better than it was a few years ago. Please. People will criticize and ridicule and judge, but they have no data. They have no statistics. Just because their town of Mayberry, people are eating and drinking in Mayberry, everything's okay in the rest of the United States of America. There is over $300 trillion of debt globally, ladies and gentlemen. None of this can ever be paid back. You look at America with unfunded liabilities, we're looking at $200 trillion of debt. This is never going to be paid back. The system is so broken. I can't even imagine what this is going to look like 5 years from now, let alone what happens tomorrow. But as I said, $813 billion to service the U.S. debt, and it's climbing. The U.S. spends $909 billion on healthcare, $1.2 trillion on Social Security. Where is the money coming from, ladies and gentlemen? They're going to continue to raise taxes and gouge you even more. They're going to print more money. They're going to borrow more money. And I don't see how we're ever going to get back to 2% inflation. Do you? Please, somebody explain to me how that's going to happen. And somebody explain to me how inflation today is only 4.9%. So I'm going to be looking at the comments. Please tell me how we're going to get to 2%, and please tell me how in the world we're at 4.9%, because I just went to the grocery store and there's just no way. You look at the average price of a new car, over $48,000. You look at housing costs right now, no way. Absolutely not. So somebody please explain this to me. Here's one from Fox Business. Is now a good time to buy a house? A record high number of Americans say no. Just 21% say it's a good time to buy a house right now. 78% think it's a bad time to buy a house. Let me know your thoughts. A lot of people tell me I should buy a house today. I better buy a house tomorrow and move. But yet 78% of people in this survey on Fox Business think it's a bad time to buy a house, and I think it is too. Now, if a great deal comes along, that's different. But this is certainly not the time. But I think hopefully by the second half of this summer, we're going to start beginning to see reality kick in the housing market. Existing home sales are down 22% compared to a year ago. New home sales are down 3.4% compared to a year ago. So we're going to continue to watch the housing market. But remember, if people don't have a job, they're not buying houses. If they don't have a job, they don't qualify, they cannot afford to buy a house. And we're going to continue to see more people losing jobs, and that means more people are going to be losing houses. Another one today from The Hedge. Our economic arrogance will be our undoing. You know, they kept telling you and I that everything is going to be fine. They've been telling us this for a couple years. They've been telling us this really since the 2008 crisis. Even before that, they were telling us it would never happen. Then it did happen, and we had 2008. Then everything was going to be fine after that. The government and the Fed for the past 2 years thought inflation was transitory. They were very, very wrong. Last month, Janet Yellen was telling the world that she didn't anticipate a recession. She said, I'm not anticipating a downturn in the economy. Wrong again. So many people listen to these people. These people are either not very intelligent or they're very, very devious. I don't know. Take your pick, maybe both. But you cannot believe anything these people are telling you now. This is why it's so important that you really are connected daily with what is happening, because if you're not, you stand a chance of losing your wealth. We continue to see more signs of trouble. Mortgage originations falling, auto loan originations also falling, delinquencies ticking up, credit cards, auto loans. People look at the stock market as a leading indicator of the economy, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. The stock market and the economy are so far detached. There is really no connection. The stock market is so rigged, so manipulated, and if they could, and look, they've tried to rig and manipulate the economy. They just dumped $7 trillion into it, and it didn't last very long. The party's over, the buzz is over, and now we're about to feel some severe pain, and many people already are. Many people have already lost their jobs. Many people standing in those food lines at the food pantries. Many people already evicted. Some people already homeless. Many people moving back home. Things are changing at a very, very fast pace. Remember when Ben Bernanke was awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics for taking us into the financial crisis of 2008. That's what he was awarded with. The gentleman who was very, very, at least partially responsible for taking America into the 2008 financial crisis is awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics. Maybe Janet Yellen will be just as lucky. I mean, people are listening to these type of people. People are watching these people on the television, and they're listening to these economists. They're listening to these analysts, and they're making life-altering decisions on the information that they are getting. You need to be doing your own due diligence. Don't listen to just your financial advisor. You better really do some due diligence. Don't listen to the analysts and the economists. They have been wrong for years. People listen to Jim Cramer. He just told you to buy Home Depot last week. People just, I don't think, can fathom what is coming and what is happening right now. They just go, oh, look, there's people in the restaurant tonight. They don't know how they're paying for it. They don't know how many of those people are 3 months behind on an auto payment, or that they're using one of the 12 credit cards they have to pay for their cocktails and their dinner. Everybody just looks from the outside and says, oh, look how pretty the house is. But if you went inside and went down into the basement and saw the rotting foundation, and you saw the termites infested in the 2x4s in the guts of the house, it would look a lot different. But people just look from the outside in, believing everything is okay because the house is nice and pretty. But we don't really inspect what's happening inside the walls or underneath the house. We have an economy and a stock market built on quicksand, literally a house of cards built on quicksand. And people will say, oh, the stock market was up today. Oh, the stock market was up this week. Everything's going to be okay. Ask yourself this. When the stock market goes up, are you paying less at the store? Are you paying less for fuel? Are you paying less for insurance? Are you paying less on rent? Is your life getting better? Are you saving more money? Do you have more money in the bank? Do you have more opportunity at work? Ask yourself this. We watch the market. We've watched this massive volatility, and we've seen days where the market goes up 4, 5, 6, 700 points at times. And yet people are struggling day to day. We have a society here now that works paycheck to paycheck. 60 to 70% of this nation working paycheck to paycheck. And to the people out there that say that everything's fine, how come we have 20 million households who cannot pay their utility bills? Please answer me that. How come we have 42 million people that are reliant on food stamps? How come we have food lines and food pantries now seeing the biggest surges they've ever seen in their histories? How come the debts and deficits are bigger than anything we've ever seen? How come household debt is the highest we've ever seen? And how come the banks are charging you on average 24% interest on your credit cards? How come literally 50% of the middle class has disappeared? Somebody please answer me all this and tell me where things are getting better. I don't see it happening. And it's really sad. You know, as I've said many times, I would much rather be driving around in a Ferrari, filming car videos, going to Cars and Coffee, going to car shows, having fun, laughing and joking around, having a good time. But I cannot justify doing anything like that as long as we are watching this demolition, possibly a controlled demolition of the US economy. And I know people out there are suffering, people are getting hurt. Many people who are really good, responsible people who are working 1, 2, even 3 jobs, they're doing everything to put food on the table for their kids, and they're struggling and they're not getting any help. And yet we're sending billions of dollars overseas. Sad. It's sad. You know, and a lot of people ask why I don't laugh, why I don't joke around, because this to me is so important and it's so serious. And, you know, I take, 15, 20 minutes out of my day to give you just a serious bit of news, my serious thoughts of what's happening. I don't find anything entertaining about it. I don't find anything funny about it. It's really, really serious because, when you go out and you see homeless people, when you feed homeless people and you feed their dogs, it really hits you. When you see kids out there on Skid Row running around barefooted with rats all over the place and garbage piled up on the streets and, needles everywhere and just gang infested, you just thank God for what you have. So I don't find any of it entertaining. I don't find it funny. I'm sorry I can't sit here and joke around. I mean, I have a really good life and I'm a really positive person, but I got to tell you, I'm not too optimistic about where all this is going. And so to me, it's extremely important that all of you are preparing mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. I don't want to see any of you landing up on the streets. I don't want to see you landing up on a Skid Row. I don't want to see your kids living on the streets. So many things are happening, but there's not really much to laugh about. And I wish I could do more type of fun videos. But right now, this is to me, my calling. I'm doing what I can to make a little bit of a difference, a little dent, waking up a few people, getting a few people prepared. I'm just doing what I can. And hopefully this is all going to change and go away and get better. And, you know, we can make different, more positive type videos. But until then, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to probably be very, very repetitive because there's new people every day watching this. These videos get shared, new people subscribe, new people watch. And so if you already know what's going on, if you have all the answers, then, you know, you can go watch other videos. But for the people out there that just want that reinforcement, for the people out there that are new, keep following. I'm going to keep reporting the news. People say that I make this stuff up. Somehow I'm lying, but you know, I just print it all out from CNBC, The Hedge, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, theeconomiccollapse.com, sites like that. This is all news that just came out within the last 24 hours. I don't make any of it up. I just print it out, jot down some notes, share it with all of you, ask you to comment about it, and just ask what we can do to prepare for what's coming. So I know there's a lot of people out there that will like to judge and ridicule, but those are the unprepared people. And these are the people who are getting very, very scared because they don't have anything put away. They don't have skill sets. They don't have training. They don't have assets. They don't have cash. And now they know that you and I, we're right, and we're being proven right every day now. And these people would rather lash out and judge and ridicule myself or you, and you know people that do the same thing to you. Instead of lashing out, what these people should be doing is preparing. You're not going to get any farther ahead by judging me or ridiculing me. My life's not going to change. I'm going to continue to prepare. I'm going to continue stacking cash and metals and preparations and skill sets, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. My life's not going to change. If nothing happens, I have a lot of gold, silver, cash, and skills. If something does happen, I have a lot of gold, silver, cash, and skills. You're going to be in very, very big trouble. So I would stop wasting time judging me or people like me, and I would take the time, which is running out, and I would actually begin to prepare. Because if you do not see the storm clouds out there right now, if you do not see what is happening right now, you're going to get what you deserve. God bless all of you. Have a great day.